Welcome back. Episode 7 of Drafting a Championship Team Around X Player. As you have known, we've done the first 6 of the ADP, and now it's time for number 7, and that is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Obviously, he had an incredible year with the Lions. He's been an incredible player for the Lions. It would appear the only St. Brown brother to do anything in the NFL, but he's found a home in Detroit, whether he liked it draft night or not, and he's looking for a big time role this year as well. Obviously, Jared Goff is still there. The offense is still there. The offensive line is incredible. Probably one of the best offensive lines. Well, definitely one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. Probably number one. So we know he's going to have a big year, especially at home playing in the dome. It's impossible to stop him at times there. So he's a great start to a fantasy roster. So we're going to build a team around him that can win you your league. Again, reminder, one quarterback, two running back, two wide receiver, tight end, two flex, kicker, defense, bench. That's the roster we're working with. And also, the ADPs are based off a half PPR. So it's based off half PPR. So again, if you are full PPR, standard, different rosters, whatever, remember, the ADPs will fluctuate from this. But without further ado, let's turn off the notifications because we don't need updates. We're here, right now. And let's take Amon-Ra St. Brown. And we take him at 7, who will be around for us at the turn. Perfect. Personally, I'm drafting 6th in my fantasy league, in my home fantasy league. So if you're in my home fantasy league watching this, stop watching right now. Personally, this is what I want. I'm going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown at 6, and I want to get Garrett Wilson at the turn. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a monster. We know that. Let's think about Garrett Wilson for a little bit. He gets Aaron Rodgers back. Not only Aaron Rodgers off injury, that's one of the best players in the NFL, and we've seen him have big injuries, and he's come back better than ever. But an Aaron Rodgers that's pissed off. Every time he's done that in the past, he's either won MVP or he's looked damn good, and he's been damn close to winning it. Garrett Wilson was pretty solid last year. Obviously, wide receiver 26 PPR last year, and a finish 21 the year before. He had 1,000 receiving yards both years, 3 and 4 touchdowns respectively. That's with horrible quarterbacks. He gets Aaron freaking Rodgers back, man. He's going to be an absolute stud. So if you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, especially if it's PPR, obviously, but this half PPR, I'm smashing Amon-Ra St. Brown and Garrett Wilson. I'm going to sleep happy knowing that I have the best receiver room in this league no matter what happens the rest of the draft. Those are incredible 1 and 2. We can wait on running backs later. And matter of fact, we might get a running back right here, round 3. Let's see how it works. And perfect. We do get a running back round 3. If you can tell me that you get to start a draft with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Garrett Wilson, and then falling back to you is going to be Isaiah Pacheco as your running back 1, you're taking it every single time, and you're thanking everybody and laughing all the way to the bank, right? Isaiah Pacheco, say what you want about him as a running back, but he gets work out of the backfield. He gets running down work. He has a role no matter what, whether they're up big or up not at all, whether they're trailing, and they're not trailing often, and when they're winning, running the ball is kind of important. So Isaiah Pacheco, I think, is a foolproof running back 1 this year. So to look at this draft and say, I'm getting 2 wide receiver 1s, and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Garrett Wilson, and I'm getting running back 1 in Isaiah Pacheco, again, no matter what happens the rest of this round, what anybody else thinks, you have the best first 3 rounds in the draft, and you get a short turnaround in round 4 here. So we're going to take Pacheco, see how it drafts out, and boom. You have a question that you're posed with. Do you take quarterback or do you take running back? Or maybe you bulk up on wide receiver. It's a tough question here, and it's a good question to have. So right now we have a team of Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Isaiah Pacheco. Who do we take? Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Waddle, Lamar Jackson, Rachaad White, Cooper Kupp, James Cook. For me, there's a lot of things that you can do here. Obviously, I think Jalen Hurts and is a game breaker usually. I question what he's going to look like with that offensive line down the Kelsey brother, down Jason Kelsey. I question that a lot. I question the ability to tush push. I question a lot of things around him. I think he'll still be good, but I don't know if I can trust him. to be the second quarterback off the board. I think Patrick Mahomes is incredible. Lamar Jackson is incredible. So if you're looking quarterback, I'd go one of them. In terms of wide receiver, Jalen Waddle, I'm not completely sold on. Cooper Kupp, I think, is a fantastic player. And then running back, it's Rashad White. So it all becomes down to, what do you want? Do you want to wait on quarterback? Do you want to go here on quarterback? Do you want to take Rashad White at running back? The one thing I will say, for me personally, a lot of running backs you can wait on. I'm not taking Rashad White here. I think if you take him, I can't fault you, right? Because you have two great running backs, two great wide receivers. But for me, I look at these wide receivers. You already have Amon-Ra St. Brown. You already have Garrett Wilson. You add Cooper Kupp to this mix. Cooper Kupp to be your wide receiver 3, end it, right? You add Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson to this team, end it, right? You look you have an incredible amount of opportunities in front of you. So for me, I'm leaning more Cooper Kupp, right? Because we know what he can do. And again, as your wide receiver 3, I think he's one of the best in the bigs. He's a great wide receiver 2. I think you might as well just go wide receivers, because here's the thing. If you have surplus, if all those 3 guys go off, if all of them turn out to be wide receiver 1, you have great trade bait, right? If Rashad White goes off, you say, well, depending on how the rest of the draft turns out, how the season turns out, how injuries turn out, you might not be as able to just pluck them out of your team. So here, I think Cooper Kupp is the option. Incredible player, no bye week issues. And boom, again, you have the 3 best wide receivers in the draft. You have a better draft room than Team 4 there, who took 4 wide receivers in a row. It's not even a question. So we will come down to round 5, who is there. And I think this works out perfectly for you. I think it works out absolutely perfectly. You have Joe Mixon there and Alvin Kamara at running back. I think this is where you take a second running back. I like CJ Stroud a lot. Again, don't know if I can constitute taking him as quarterback 5 off the board or this early when you still need a running back. For me, I also don't think you go tight end with Andrews or Kincaid. I'm not completely sold on Kincaid, and Andrews, not completely sold on him either with Derrick Henry there. I think they're going to run the ball even more. He's going to get his, but I'm still not completely sold on him as a tight end. So to me, it becomes Joe Mixon or Alvin Kamara. And for me, I'm absolutely taking Alvin Kamara. He is their focal point. He is their best player on the offense. They need to get him involved. They're going to be playing from behind a lot, I understand. But with that being said, they're going to use him in the pass game then. And even then, I don't know how much they're going to be playing from behind, because, again, their division, Carolina, bad. Atlanta, we'll see. Probably should be good, should win that division. Tampa Bay should be up there, but again, they're not a runaway favorite either. So I like his role. I like how he plays. I think he's foolproof. Running back 2, take it to the bank. Easy again. So we wait to see what happens in round 6. It falls to us this way. Top on the board, Dalton Kincaid, Anthony Richardson, Aaron Jones, T. Higgins, George Kittle, James Conner, George Pickens. And for me, this is I'm not looking at Anthony Richardson here. If you know me, you know I'm concerned about his injury history, and he's got to play more than 3 games for me to say anything about him. So I'm not taking him. Dalton Kincaid, I understand he's fallen a little bit. I'm not buying any Buffalo tight end ever, as long as Josh Allen is there. I question the tight ends he can get, or the touchdowns he can get, because we know in goal-to-goal situations, Josh Allen's running that ball in. So I don't trust that. So then we get to Aaron Jones, T. Higgins, George Kittle, James Conner, George Pickens. George Pickens, I'm not trusting until at least the 7th with that quarterback issue. James Conner, injuries. He's a great running back, but no need to take an injury-prone guy when you already have a good, solid start to the roster. George Kittle, Aaron Jones, and T. Higgins are there for me. And for me, I think even though you only have 2 running backs and 3 wide receivers, I don't think you need to go running back here. As a matter of fact, I think it's probably pretty smart to go wide receiver as well. You have 4 wide receivers. Worst case scenario, every week you have 4 wide receivers in your flexes. He has the same buy as Garrett Wilson, so that your wide receiver is still covered. That's the only buy overlap. Aaron Jones I like, but in a new place he gets banged up a lot. I don't know if I buy that. George Kittle, I like him as well. But I think what T. Higgins can get you should be a little bit bigger than him. And again, I'm still a little worried with Trent Williams and his contract. If he does hold out, George Kittle might have to be called into block some more. Not enough to completely take him out of the tight end conversation, but possibly enough for me to look back and go, damn, I think he would have been a better value in the 7th or 8th round. So with that being said, we're going to go T. Higgins here. And wide receivers set. Again, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Cooper Kupp. They can all be wide receiver 1s. T. Higgins can easily be a wide receiver 2. Anything that happens to Jamar Chase, boom, wide receiver 1 immediately. And here we go as the draft comes around. And here in the 7th round, Terry McLaurin goes. That's good because I would have been tempted to take him as a wide receiver 5. But look who falls to us, George Kittle. And again, I talked about it. I have some questions about this San Francisco offense. But if he falls to you in round 7, you absolutely have to take him there. He's probably could easily be a top 5 tight end, and there have already been 4 off the board, so I think that's pretty easy. More than 4 off the board. So we'll take Kittle and have the quick turnaround to round 8. We'll pause it there. And now we have a really good starting lineup, and now is the time to fill it in with depth. We have Pacheco and Kamara at running back, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson at the wide receiver, Kupp and Higgins at the flex, Kittle at the tight end. I think now is a really good time to either get a quarterback or a running back. And for me, I think right now, Dak Prescott is a great quarterback. But I think you're going to want Raheem Mostert here. I understand injuries are a concern, or Raheem Mostert or Tony Pollard, I should say. I understand injuries are a concern with Raheem Mostert. His workload will be different because A-Chain is there. I think he's got a pretty good role. He finished very well last year. He finished just shy of 1,000 yards in 2022. I think he'll give you a very good running back 3. I think it's the same roles. I think maybe A-Chain gets a little more. I don't think as much as people are expecting. So I think Raheem Mostert is good value here in round 8. I think he's the guy to take. I think Raheem Mostert overall is your running back 1 or 2. You don't like it. Raheem Mostert, your running back 3. You definitely do like it. So we will take him in the 8th round, see what comes back to us in round 9. Hopefully Nick Chubb, but I doubt it. There he goes. All right, and here we are in round 9. So round 9 comes to us. Jordan Love, Jake Ferguson, David Njoku, Zach Moss, Jonathan Brooks, Hollywood Brown, Jalen Warren, Deontay Johnson, then some other guys behind. For me, Zach Moss is a starter. But I don't trust him. I got to be very simple and honest with you. I don't trust him. I know if you watched, the episode where we talked about drafting around Bijan, I talked about how Jonathan Brooks, he's on the PUP list. And when he comes back, he's probably going to be the 1B. With that being said, I think he's the best option here. I think there's a reason they drafted him where they did. I think they do like Hubbard, but I think Jonathan Brooks is their future. I think as the season goes on, he'll slowly take more and more and more. I think where you're looking to get him as your running back 4, you're looking for him to give you something in that playoff time. And I think that's exactly when he's going to start to heat up. So I think he is a great running back 4 to take here. I want to take him as anything more than a running back 4, but we'll take him here. And on the short turnaround to round 10, dang, Austin Eckler just came off the block. Austin Eckler is a guy I would definitely target in round 10. Washington is a bad football team. Let's just call it as it is. I think Austin Eckler is a bad runner. But here's the thing. Austin Eckler he's a pass catcher. And he catches a ton of them, and I think he'll do exactly that in Washington. And I think he would be a great running back 5. So I was looking at him there. But with him gone, you got Jordan Love here, Njoku, Moss, Singletary, Purdy, Coleman, Williams. I think you don't question about it. I think you finish your starting lineup here outside of the kicker and defense. I think you take Jordan Love. I think now's the time to take a good quarterback. You can rest easy knowing you waited to round 10, still got a good quarterback in Jordan Love. He's going to do his thing. The Packers need to pass the ball to be successful. He's going to be throwing that thing. And to know the rest of your roster has been taken care of, and you still get a guy like Jordan Love, I think that's pretty good. So now we have 5 rounds left. We are in round 11 right now. And again, starting lineup is gone. All set, all taken care of. You have 4 running backs. You have 4 wide receivers, tight end, quarterback. Don't have to worry about anything. So on the board, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tua, Tyjae Spears, Trey Benson, Ezekiel Elliott, Jameson Williams, some more quarterbacks. Who do you go with? Obviously, I've talked about Trey Benson is a player that I'm looking for to see a lot of touches from James Conner. I think he's going to take over. I think next year is going to be his year. With that being said, you have Pacheco, you have Kamara. You know what you're going to get with them. Mostert, you have some injury concerns. Brooks, you don't really know what you want to get. So we think we know what we're going to get, but we don't know for sure. So I think right here, the best option is Ezekiel Elliott. We know what we're going to get with him. He's a running back 1 right now. Obviously, that may change, but we know they're going to feed him the ball. He's a great running back 5. You don't have to worry about running backs now. It's all sorted. You know what you have in Elliott, so you know what you have in 3 of them. The other 2 are not boom bust, but a little more volatile. That can be very good, so you know we have that there as well. So now we're going to round 12. I don't think Jameson Williams is the guy. I think right here, I think this is where you take TJ Hawkinson. Again, I've harped about him. If you heard about him, you know about him. If you've heard from me, you know about him. He's an incredible player. And again, you have Kittle and Hawkinson. Worst case scenario, Hawkinson comes back. He's just meh. He's just average. I'm sure you can find a team to trade Kittle to if you need something. Or, best case scenario, he's very good. You play both of them. You know, there's no downside to taking TJ Hawkinson. He's going to come back, obviously, on the PUP list. Their bye week is week 6, though. I would assume what they do is they keep him on the PUP list till week 4. They play the Jets week 5. I don't think they rush him back. I think they sit him week 5. Obviously, has a bye week 6. He's coming full throttle week 7. By that time, you know, he can be completely happy with that because George Kittle buys not until week 9. So once you hit week 7, he can be a plug and a play. And again, that's huge because let's say one of Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Cooper Kupp, or T. Higgins comes hurt. Starting week 7, one of them can be on your bench and you can still not really skip a beat. So that's huge. So now we're in the 13th round, 3 rounds left. 4 receivers. You'd like to get another one. So we look at the receivers here and we have Khalil Shakir. You know, I question Buffalo and what they're going to do with the offense, but we know they like Khalil Shakir. At the very least, again, he's a wide receiver 5. He's probably going to be a bench stash, not going to get a lot of time on your starting lineup, so it really doesn't matter. But he does have a road to high volume. And so at the very worst, he's just and it doesn't really matter for you. So 2 rounds left now, round 14. Again, I think you go running or wide receiver here. You go for somebody who has a good floor, can have a high ceiling. That's Jacoby Myers. You have 6 receivers now. You have 4 studs. You have 2 guys that can stop gap, come on in once in a while, and you got to feel pretty good. So now we're going to go to round 15, and we'll do a little something different here. Obviously, we've done a lot with a lot of drafts before where we've had, you know, Tyler Algier. What we haven't done is Jalen Wright, and we'll take him. You know, for those of you taking Mostert, if you're a little scared about his injury concerns, how do you finish that? You have Jalen Wright. You know, if Mostert goes down, A-Chain is not becoming a workhorse. That's just not going to happen. Let's just put that to bed right now. So who comes up? Jalen Wright's going to be in that A-Chain position. I think he's going to thrive in that. So after 15 rounds, you look at the team. Honestly, I said after doing the Christian McCaffrey one, I think this is the most complete team we've ever had. I think this one might be better. It's not as deep at every position, as in it's a little more top heavy at running back, but it's incredibly deep. One of the strongest wide receiver rooms I've ever seen. One of the strongest wide receiver rooms that's possible, and it clearly is possible based on ADP. So going over it again, first and second, drafting from the 7th position, building a team around Amon-Ra St. Brown. First pick, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then we go Garrett Wilson in the 2nd, Pacheco and Kupp in the 3rd and 4th. Kamara and Higgins in the 5th and 6th, Kittle and Mostert in 7th and 8th, Jonathan Brooks and Love in the 9th and 10th, Zeke and Hockenson 11th and 12th, Shakir and Myers in the 13th and 14th, and Jalen Wright in the 15th. So again, you're looking at this team, Jordan Love, Pacheco, Kamara, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Kittle, Kupp, Higgins. It's a hell of a starting lineup. Then you could put Hockenson on the IR with the PUP list, pick up a kicker or defense, wait to see if anything else happens. Maybe nobody else gets hurt. Then you can easily drop a Jalen Wright or a Jacoby Myers or Khalil Shakir, pick up that defense. But even then, you have Hockenson on the bench. You can wait for him. You have Ezekiel Elliott, who's the running back 1. Jonathan Brooks, when he comes back, he'll be on the PUP list too. If you have 2 IR slots, you can put him there. You have a really good team. Good running backs, good wide receiver. You didn't reach for anybody. And let me tell you, after the draft, one of your friends will be panic buying a wide receiver. They will be going to you for a wide receiver. And guess what? At this point, you can say, you have to reach my price, not the other way around. So I think this is one of my favorite drafts. This is what I'm going to try to do in my home league. I'm 100% serious. So again, if you're in my home league watching, I didn't mean any of it, but I did. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, that's a great start. Pacheco, Cup, Kamara, that's a dream top 5 for me.